You only need to be a novice watcher of programs about real estate, and you quickly realise that house buying is all about location, location. Well, the strange thing is, so often that's true about reading our Bibles. And that couldn't be clearer than in our reading today. So often there's a temptation to skip over details which seem irrelevant or we don't understand, like the name of a place. And yet, unless we get to grips with that name, we can sometimes miss so much. That's particularly true in our Gospel reading for today, which takes place at Caesarea Philippi. It's situated on the east-west highway from Tyre to Damascus, tying it to the international trade route from earliest times. It's a site of religious significance. Settlers from Greece in the 4th century BC named the site Panias, after the Greek god Pan. Caesar Augustus gave the region to Herod in 20 BC, constructing a white marble temple dedicated to Augustus Caesar. And right through history, that place has been a place of worship and pilgrimage. So conjure up the scene, if you will, to illustrate what is there in Caesarea Philippi. There's a spring. Water sources are often given religious significance. There's a massive cave, highly significant, as caves were thought to be the entrance to Hades, the Greek idea of hell. And then surrounding the cave was a massive rock face, towering above the valley below, as high as you could see. When Janet and I went there in 2015, it was just so impressive. It towered above the valley we were in. But there's one more other important thing to notice in terms of the story which we hear in our Gospel reading for today. For in 4 BC, Herod Philip, the tetrarch or regional ruler of Galilee, turned that city, Caesarea Philippi, into his capital. The city functioned as a centre of government and worship, but to Roman and Greek gods. Indeed, there's a whole question about why is Jesus there? It wasn't a natural place for Jesus and his disciples to go. Indeed, they were almost certainly uncomfortable about being there. It had a feel of the oppressive Roman government. More than that, the worship sites there were exclusively to Roman and Greek gods. But back to our story. For whatever reason, Jesus has taken his disciples the 25 miles north towards northern Judea, into northern Palestine. And Jesus starts the question, who do people say the Son of Man is? It's Simon Peter who, as so often, leads what the disciples are thinking. His response is clear. The first time that the disciples recognise him in such terms. You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. That would have been a wonderful and earth-shattering statement anywhere. But the remarkable thing is, that statement took place not along the shore of Lake Galilee where the disciples were at home, but instead at the very centre of Roman and Greek gods, in enemy territory, if you like. Why? Because to me it's a reminder that the whole coming of Christ was not just about the nation of Israel, not just for the Jews, but for the wider waiting world. Does this idea sound preposterous? I think not. Think back to the birth narrative. The birth of Jesus and the stories we are told around it are significant, not just because of the amazing event itself, because in both Matthew and Luke, they tell us something of the gospel which is to come. And who are the first visitors to Jesus according to Matthew? It's not the local shepherds. Instead, it's the foreigners from distant lands. It's the Magi who have travelled many a mile. The very first people who come to worship Jesus aren't good and faithful Jews. They are those from beyond the kingdom and household of Israel. In other words, from the earliest part of the gospel, Matthew seems to concentrate on getting out the message that Jesus isn't just for Israel, isn't just for Jews. Jesus is for the whole of the world. And that's a message not just for them, but for today as well. One of the reasons why I'm Anglican through to my bones is because I love the fact that we have a responsibility for the whole community. We see that in different ways, locally and nationally. Why, for instance, are there 16 bishops in the House of Lords? On one level it's a daft notion, but on another level it signifies the importance of the established church within the parliament of our land. Locally, we do have a position within our schools, within charitable trusts, which yes are there because of age, but also because it shows testimony to the fact that for hundreds and hundreds of years, the church hasn't just looked about its own, but it's looked towards the wider community of which it is part. For me, that is crucial to Anglican identity. We are here to serve our local community in whatever way we can, which for me goes to show that it's not just real estate programs where location is essential, but church life too, as we work out what it means to be part of this benefice, part of these villages, shining the light of Christ here in this place. Amen.